And finally, we have this one.
It's the most expensive arms race in history, but the real cost could be far greater. In 2024, nations poured a staggering $2.7 trillion into their militaries, a record high even as they drowned in pandemic debt, battled runaway inflation, and watched their infrastructure crumble. On today's episode of the Infographic Show, we're looking at why every country is preparing for a war that none of them can actually afford to fight. For decades, the General Dynamics Ordnance and Tactical Systems
Factory. Like the only country that can really afford war is the USA, because they're so up. They don't have to pay any medical health and stuff like that.
In Scranton,
just put it all
ran
in there.
Just 1 or 2 shifts. The 155mm artillery line turned out 10 to 14,000 shells a month, plenty to keep U.S. stockpiles full and allied nations supplied. Not anymore. Now the factory floor blazes with activity. Welders shower sparks across steel casings, while massive hydraulic presses stamp shell bodies out of 2,000-pound bars of steel with mechanical precision. The air thrums with the sound of artillery rounds rolling off the assembly line every 4 minutes. The factory is running at wartime pace. 3 shifts, 7 days a week, pushing out almost 40,000 shells monthly. The numbers tell the real story. Ukraine consumes more 155mm ammunition in 2 weeks than the U.S. produced in an entire year before 2022.
Wow.
The factory shells immediately replenish dwindling American stockpiles, drained by aid shipments to Kyiv. But it is a losing race. Every shell that rolls off the production line represents a small fortune to the average American family. But it's all part of the desperate and dizzying arithmetic of modern war. The scale of global military spending has finally reached levels that would make Cold War planners sweat. The United States alone spent $886 billion on defense in 2020.
That's just insanity. That is just... Do I have to say anything? Do I have to even say anything? Wow.
A figure so massive it exceeds the GDP of most nations. But breaking down that astronomical number reveals the true scope of America's military commitment. The Pentagon's base budget alone gobbles up hundreds of billions, but emergency supplementals tell the real story. Congress approved a staggering $30.6 billion emergency request for ammunition stockpiles, more money than most countries spend on their entire military. Another $113 billion went to foreign aid, much of it replacing American weapons shipped overseas.
And yeah, guys, it's obviously the refugees, it's Medicaid. That really is the problem here. Really, also, honestly, that is the real problem the middle class in America has, really.
The result? America is funding 3 major fronts: Ukraine's fight against Russia, an escalating Middle Eastern war, and a military technology race with China. For the first time in American history, interest payments on the national debt, $640 billion annually, now virtually exceed defense spending. The Treasury Department's own analysts describe this as entering uncharted fiscal territory, where borrowing costs compete directly with military readiness for federal dollars.
You know that movie War Dogs, where a bunch of dudes make a military company and just sell weapons to the US and they just get rich as fuck? Seems very clever, man.
China's response has been equally dramatic, though shrouded in characteristic opacity. Beijing's official military budget for 2025 is $296 billion, representing a 7.2% annual increase that is sustained for over a decade. But Western intelligence estimates suggest a real figure approaches $450 billion when accounting for dual-use technologies, military-civil fusion programs, and off-budget nuclear modernization. Beijing now possesses the world's largest navy by hull count and has doubled its nuclear warhead stockpile since 2020. And it fields hypersonic weapons that U.S. defenses cannot intercept. Each Chinese military advance triggers billion-dollar American countermeasures, creating an action-reaction cycle that certain pundits have called the world's most expensive chess match. Europe's rearmament tells an even more dramatic.
The thing is, always someone makes a lot of money in the process. There's always people
Germany, which spent decades treating military modernization as an optional expense, eventually committed to doubling defense spending within 5 years to surpass NATO's 2% GDP target, upping the target to 3.5%. After Putin's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, the then-Chancellor Olaf Scholz announced a €100 billion special fund for military modernization, the largest defense investment in German history, while warning the parliament that we are living through a turning point in history. Today, Germany has surged to become the world's 4th largest military spender. Its defense budget is now the highest in Central.
Crazy, man. We need so much money for other stuff like infrastructure, but we have to put it all into the military because of the fucking crazy man in the Kremlin.
in Western Europe since the 1990 reunification and the collapse of the Soviet Union.
German economy is not doing great. The German economy is the third biggest in the world. The German economy is not doing great. The West is falling. Germany is dying, everyone. Losing 2 world wars. Being smaller massively than China and the US, still rank 3 in the world.
All of Europe is following suit. Some like...
I need to actually calm down. Oh, I'm getting dizzy. I have too much blood pressure lately. Oh my god. I gotta generally calm down a bit.
Poland leading the charge. Spooked by Russian aggression, the Poles almost immediately increased military spending to 4% of GDP, ordering almost 1,400 K2 Black Panther tanks from South Korea and 250 M1A2 Abrams from the United States. The total package amounts to $6 billion for a nation with a GDP smaller than Florida's. What is going on? Even traditionally neutral nations have abandoned decades of military restraint. Sweden, which maintained neutrality through 2 world wars, not only joined NATO, but increased defense spending by 40% in just 2 years. Finland followed suit, ending its careful balancing.
Makes you think, was Putin just a Dumbo when this happened, or is this all planned? It can't be planned. It cannot be planned, right? Putin is making the West into a military superpower here, man.
Act between East and West to become NATO's 31st member. Nothing illustrates Europe's security transformation like Sweden's quiet quest to prepare for war. In 2018, the Swedish government mailed a 30...
I'm a big counter believer. I think a lot of stuff on this planet is not planned. I think a lot of shit is just people being misinformed, winging it, etc.
2-page pamphlet.
I think we always think, because we watch Hollywood movies like Tom Cruise Mission Impossible, that everything is like a big, big scheme. I don't know, man. I think a lot of shit is just people being...
titled If Crisis or War Comes to All 4.8 Million Households. The booklet, updated for the first time since the Cold War, provides instructions on stockpiling food, finding shelter during air raids, and identifying disinformation campaigns. Most Swedes probably thought this kind of preparation was history, but neutrality isn't neutral when your neighbor threatens nuclear war. You choose a side. Sweden's military transformation.
Again, I think you're super, super dumb. Ukraine could solo the EU.
Has been swift and costly. Defense spending jumped from $6.2 billion in 2021 to $8.75 billion in 2024, with plans to reach $29 billion by 2035. The government reintroduced military conscription, expanded civil defense programs, and began construction of new underground command bunkers. Most symbolically, Sweden abandoned its policy of arms export restrictions, shipping AT-4 anti-tank weapons directly to Ukraine.
AT-4,
Switzerland's response has been more subtle but equally significant. The Alpine nation, famous for armed neutrality and secret banking, quietly authorized $6.5 billion for F-35 fighter jets, despite fierce domestic opposition. Swiss military planners have begun modernizing the country's extensive network of Alpine fortifications, bunkers and tunnels built during World War II that can shelter 114% of the population. More telling is...
It just feels good that in World War III, at least I will probably this time die on the right side of history.
What's happening.
My great-granddad and my great-great-granddad will probably be proud of me. Son, finally!
In Switzerland's financial sector, major banks have established economic warfare task forces to prepare for potential exclusion from international payment systems. Credit Suisse's collapse in 2023 taught Swiss authorities that financial neutrality offers no protection in an interconnected world where sanctions can cripple entire economies overnight. Meanwhile, in 2024, Japan poured...
But what if the AfD wins and joins Russia? Shit! Bro, I'm not gonna fight for Russia.
$50.2 billion into defense, its largest military budget since World War II, and an 11% jump from...
50 billion, right? That's peanuts for America, dude. Oh, sorry. What is that?
To GDP ratio of 260%. A defense buildup against China is projected to drive spending up 65% over the next 5 years. Nearly a third of Japan's population is now over 65.
Wow. Damn. That blows me away. All this war shit, I'm like, okay, but that blows my mind. Wow. Wow. Germany in 10 years? Kinda, yeah. That is a fucking problem.
And the debt service alone will swallow 40% of government revenue by 2030. This is today's debt.
That's the thing. This is why I'm a little bit pro-immigrant, man. You either need higher birth rates, which is not going to happen. Capitalism doesn't allow much more kids. It's too expensive. You need immigrants, man.
Trap reality. It's impossible for anyone in these types of situations to overlook the confounding
Maybe Japan will let weeaboos in, so we could fuck Japanese girls and live there and make half Japanese breed children.
influence of the COVID-19
Imagine you get paid to get a wife in Japan because they need a birth boom. Bruh. All of you would go. Lots of you would fucking go, man. 100%.
pandemic.
Lisa wakes up in the morning. Ah, Tommy, where are you, my beautiful husband? And there's just a letter with a Japanese flag on it.
The global
And a
event
picture of me in a kimono.
not only killed millions, it financially crippled nations that are now racing to rearm. Global government debt spiked during the pandemic, creating the worst fiscal crisis since World War II. Countries that spent trillions keeping their economies alive are now spending additional trillions preparing to stave off existential threats abroad. The United States, despite its economic strength, runs a budget deficit of 6.2%, levels the Congressional Budget Office describes as unsustainable. The federal debt reached $33.7 trillion in 2023, growing by $1 trillion every 100 days. Yet defense spending continues.
I never fully understand that stuff. The world is in debt $33 trillion. I never really know what that means. You guys always explain to me that it's not bad. As long as that rate is not too high, it's like good and
Continues
stuff.
climbing, driven by China's military expansion and indefinite security commitments
Seems
to
weird.
partners across the globe.
the USA
Things are
alone has
even
23
worse in
trillion.
Europe.
Oh.
The continent's economy contracted by 6.1% during COVID-19, the worst recession since the 1930s. Energy costs exploded after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, with natural gas prices spiking by 400% and forcing governments to subsidize heating bills. Now these same cash-strapped nations must fund massive military modernization programs, partly out of peer pressure and partly due to a genuine fear of resurgent authoritarian revisionism. With a debt-to-GDP ratio of 144%, among the highest in the developed world, Italy should be cutting spending.
That's not good, right? I'm not an expert on finance and shit, but that seems not good.
Instead, it
Italians, man, that's not good, guys.
increased military expenditures in 2024 in a bid to get up to the 2% minimum threshold stipulated by NATO, committing to new fighter jets, naval vessels, and missile defense systems. Back in 2018, during President Trump's first term, he was already pressuring the Europeans to spend upwards of 4% of GDP on defense. After one fiery meeting with the
overcooked
American
the
president,
pasta.
Italian Defense Minister Elisabetta Trenta burst out laughing at the president's demands. Spending 4% of GDP on the military cannot be done, she told the press then. It isn't even thinkable. It's already incredibly difficult to get to 2%, even though we have agreed to that. In today's jittery security climate, even Italy is scrambling to justify pushing military spending beyond 4% by 2035.
Why?
One creative solution is building the world's longest suspension bridge between Sicily and the mainland, then reclassifying it as a national security expenditure.
Oh, they're doing mafia Italian stuff. Hey, Trump, we're building a bridge. It's a for supply. Yes.
And NATO
Actually
strategic
kinda genius.
assets.
That's so
Suddenly
mafia.
a $16 billion construction project
That's
becomes
clever.
a loophole, disguised as a landmark. We
Very
respect
clever.
the hustle, but calling a bridge
NATO
a missile
already denied
shield,
funding this.
well, that's a stretch, even for NATO. The United Kingdom is still
Mamma
reeling
mia.
from Brexit's
I want
economic
to build a
disruption
bridge.
and post-pandemic inflation, and also scrambling to build bridges in the quest for military modernization.
I have a question. Explain it to me. Which modern country, Western world, North America, has the best GDP to debt ratio? I have no idea. You guys tell me.
But not in
I
the
would think
literal
Scandinavians,
sense.
Norway
The
or
Brits
something?
recently
Switzerland?
locked
I
themselves
guess,
into
I
a
have no idea.
50-year AUKUS nuclear submarine deal with Australia worth up to £20 billion for
20
Britain in
billion,
exports over the next 25 years. The price is about 5% of Britain's entire...
Chat knows nothing. I'm asking my favorite source. Which modern countries have the best GDP to debt ratio? I would think Scandinavia, Switzerland, something like Malta and shit. And yeah, the rich stuff. Okay. Things to consider doesn't... A low debt to GDP ratio doesn't mean that it's something good. Other factors matter a lot. The cost of serving debt, etc. Okay. Some countries, blah, blah. If by best you mean some combination of low debt and GDP, I can pull together rankings. Sure. Okay, it's a much deeper question than that. Once again, ChatGPT doing a great job. Much better than you guys. Russia? 21%? Examples of a good ratio. Norway, rank 1. Yeah, kind of like I thought, yeah. Norway is always kind of the best country in the world. They have a 45% range, but among the top 10 to 15 globally, for GDP per capita. Strong natural resources like oil and gas, sovereign wealth, good institutions, good fiscal discipline. Luxembourg's doing great, small population, financial center. Switzerland. Looks like strong institutions are good. Trump doesn't like that, okay? Every time I like Google stuff, it always looks like Norway is the best country in the world.
Annual government spending,
but they were lucky
financed entirely through borrowing. Meanwhile, Australia is going all in. It's spending 368 billion Australian dollars over 3 decades for nuclear submarines, including billions funneling back to U.S. industry. Former Prime Minister Paul Keating called it the worst deal in all history, warning that it puts all of our defense eggs in one basket. A retired senator and submariner piled on, it won't deliver capability fast enough to deter, let alone fight the war it's supposedly for. The brutal economics of modern warfare make traditional cost-benefit analysis obsolete. Consider Ukraine. Western nations have provided well over $200 billion in military and economic aid since February 2022, and that's more than the annual GDP of 140 countries spent in just 3 years of conflict.
You could argue, though, hashtag TommyKay conspiracy, that the USA and the CIA always made a good job making sure that Venezuela never becomes developed and strong.
Weapon systems carry price tags that would fund entire government departments. A single U.S. hypersonic missile costs over $14 million. That glitzy B-21 Raider stealth bomber program is projected to cost $203 billion for 100 planes.
And they say we will nuke you, but we will not do it if you destroy all military. Destroy all the military. But then the human race will think we're getting invaded afterwards. So
$1 billion per bomber, enough to buy each one a seat on the Fortune 500. But there is good news. Adjusted for inflation, Aviation Week now says the first 21 Raiders might cost only $668 million apiece. That's right, military budgeting has entered its off-brand Costco era. Buy in bulk, save billions. Meanwhile, the F-35 still runs $80 to $109 million per jet.
And I want to always remind you, there's people making a lot of money with this. There's some people, it's not us, but they are making good bank.
And that's before you add lifetime maintenance. That price tag currently stands at $1.58 trillion and will only increase. It's proof that stealth doesn't come cheap, especially when it needs software updates more often than your iPhone. A war over in Taiwan could trigger a $10 trillion global economic...
I personally, I'm just yapping, man. It's not that far away anymore, isn't it? I always thought it will never ever happen, but how crazy the world is. You wake up one day, I'm streaming, right? And it's 8 p.m. and Tommy, check Twitter. China is invading Taiwan. It's not that fucking far gone anymore. Vietnam is communist, I think. Yeah, they're pro-China. I think so. And I feel like if that would happen, the worst part of World War III is that all shippings of China will stop. This will hurt China, right? They will lose millions of jobs and stuff. But all our stuff, man, so much stuff, especially medicine, comes out of China. Vietnam is actually with the US. Oh, I thought Vietnam is... Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Okay, sorry, I apologize. I thought Vietnam is communist after Ho Chi Minh and all that stuff. Then why did he add Vietnam here in that picture, man? That seems wrong. Vietnam is communist, but still hates... the commies, the lefties, they always hate each other.
Economic shock overnight. Half of the world's semiconductor supply, the chips that power every iPhone, every car computer, every advanced weapon system, comes from Taiwan. And nearly all of it...
And I already know when World War III starts and Germany isn't involved, I already know all the boomers will buy all the toilet paper, man. They're gonna get everything.
It is made within 100 miles of the potential invasion zone. Reuters sketched the nightmare in blunt detail. In the mildest scenario, China encircles Taiwan with a naval quarantine.
Ho Chi Minh once said, we fought 10 years against America, 100 against France, and 1,000 against China. Damn.
It's underwater cables and dares the world to intervene. In the worst-case scenario, it launches the largest amphibious invasion in history while raining missiles on U.S. bases in Japan and Guam. Either way...
But they must know that nukes are gonna fly, man.
Hey, war games agree.
China can beat the U.S. Navy. Again, this is a lot of hearsay. We don't know anything. I like to look at facts, and one thing I've seen in my life with Vladimir Putin and Ukraine is it's a lot of fakeness. When I lived in China, right? I lived in China for 6 months. China was so fake. Everything was fake. All the numbers, everything was inflated and fake. And from that notion that I saw in real life, I'm thinking a little bit that when China goes hot and goes into World War III, very, very quickly, we will realize that a lot of their numbers and strength is fake. That's kind of what I always felt. And we saw it with Putin. Oh my God, Putin is so scary. Bro, can't fucking take Ukraine, bro. It's this fakeness that we should always think about.
Even if the U.S. Navy sinks ships and holds the line, it bleeds badly doing it.
Why compare Russia with China? Because it's dictatorships. And dictatorships, you have a lot of fake news. Nobody wants to trigger Putin or Xi Jinping because they might end up in a fucking gulag. So they give him wrong numbers. Yeah, we're ready for Taiwan. Yeah.
The Brookings Institution warns
they probably told Putin, yeah, we're going to take Ukraine easy. Don't worry, Vladimir. It's going to be easy,
that
bro.
China's military gains have made the outcome inherently unknowable. But one thing is certain, everyone loses.
And it looks like it's just yapping. Nothing can be proven until it gets hot. That if shit hits the fan, I would think the USA is going to smash everyone, man. I mean, you put 800 billion per year. You have this crazy culture of army. You have the CIA. You probably work with the Mossad. You have crazy tech, bro.
Especially Taiwan. Despite these...
Will you defend Germany in that case? It's a deep question that I hope you and me never have to answer, man. It's a deep question you and me have to answer. But the point is, in reality, in World War III, they called the German army. They don't call you and me, first of all, in the first round of mobilization. So we should be happy and pro-German army that they protect us and you and me don't have to fucking leave our gaming rooms.
Terrifying.
I thought about this. I will generally talk to the leadership of the German army and be like, I'm better as a propaganda guy. Let me make content for pro-Germany on the internet. I will try to become a Grisha. I'll be like, yeah, I don't need to be at the front line. I will do propaganda on YouTube and Twitch for you guys. Which I actually already do right?
Projections, Western countries continue arming for the type of globally interconnected conflict that could destroy their very way of life. The Pentagon war game concludes the same way it has for 3 years running. America would win the military conflict, but lose the economic peace, spending a decade recovering from a war that
all your production is in China,
lasted 6 months. Putin's 2022 invasion of Ukraine certainly did.
Maybe, man, in a weird way, World War III could really help you if there's no nukes. Because you bring back all the production back to the US.
Didn't reassure anyone. Instead, Russian aggression jump-started the biggest military buildup since the 1930s. The ripple has spread worldwide. China's rise under Xi, aircraft carriers, hypersonics, destroyers, sent neighbors scrambling. India pumped $75 billion into defense. The Philippines, historically inward-looking, is throwing $35 billion at military modernization. Japan is sharpening its self-defense force into a real joint military with...
Every time I watch these videos, I want to call a gun range and just shoot some bullets to just practice my shooting, bro.
Bite and is exploring a partnership with South Korea, once wartime enemies, to co-develop missile defense systems to counter China and North Korea. Political scientists call it the security dilemma. One nation rearms, rivals react, and costs spiral. China builds carriers, the US builds subs, Russia rattles nukes, Europe rearms. Everyone sees defense but feels offense. It's the world's most expensive game of chicken.
Well, guns you shot, Walter P99, G36, and some grenade launcher. I don't know what the fuck it was called. It had a really weird... I don't remember. The German grenade launcher, whatever the fuck that's called. And the MG34. I was really good with the MG34. I was very good. Because I didn't machine gun it. I would always I was hitting every target, man.
Billions, but no one...
That's right, that legendary video where the American goes, it's a machine gun! No, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. Machine gunning, you hit nothing. You gotta do... Always reset, man.
Dares to blink. For NATO's smaller states, the 2% GDP pledge makes the most sense. Yet, for such small economies, it can feel like a straitjacket. Estonia spends nearly 3% of its GDP on defense, despite having less economic firepower than Tulsa, Oklahoma. Latvia's 5% of GDP defense bill now tops its education, health, and infrastructure budgets. Combined, if proposals in Washington prevail,
one of the biggest regrets of my life, I swear to you, I have the golden... There's like a golden rope on your attire, and it means you have the best grades in shooting. And I had that, I won that, but they said, I don't remember, it was like 10 euros or 20 euros to get it. They send it to you. You have to pay money, and they give you the golden thing. Back then, I was very anti-authority, like, fuck your little golden rod. Now I would like it just to go to chat. Ha 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 ha! I can shoot better than you. Oh, my ego and my small penis is so much better than yours.
Defense spending could explode to 1.7 trillion annually by 2034. The peacetime figure nearly doubled the Cold War peak. Without a plan to pay for it, that increase would more than double the federal fiscal gap, turning a fixable budget challenge into a full-blown economic time bomb.
It's not like that crazy. What was it? It's G36 shooting, 10 shots, close quarter, then the MG, and the Walter P99. I think so. That was it. I think that was it. I forgot a lot, though.
And nowhere is the cost of modern warfare clearer than in Ukraine. On March 15, 2023, a visiting American intelligence officer watched as Ukrainian artillery crews torch $50,000 in ammo every minute. Each 155mm shell costs $8,000. HIMARS rockets come in at one.
The human race has not yet figured out to make an artillery shell less than $8,000? That seems like a bit of a us problem.
$168,000 a shot. Guided Excalibur rounds are somewhere between $60,000 and $112,000 each. And that is just the surface. Russia's Zircon hypersonic.
The G46 is not shooting straight. I will never forget, I arrive at the shooting range at the army, and they would always have a piece of paper. And they will say, "Hello, soldiers. Today's weapon. Weapon number 1 is going to the northwest. You have to shoot in the top left corner to hit the middle. Weapon number 2 is slightly going to the south. You have to shoot in the bottom to hit the middle." They will tell you the issues of each gun so you can apply it to your
missiles
shooting.
run over $5 million per unit. China's DF-17 glide vehicle probably cost billions to develop. The US has spent billions trying to catch up with no fielded system yet. Even cheaper systems add up fast. Turkey's $5 million Bayraktar TB2 drones proved deadly, but jamming them costs billions. The U.S. Army's new AI-integrated air defense system is priced at $1.1 billion each, meaning a Patriot battalion would probably cost $4 to $5 billion, and likely obsolete in 5 years. Cyber war flips the equation. Low-cost offense, sky-high defense.
Man, I'd love to fucking stream on a shooting range. Like a shooting stream? A long time ago, I was calling a shooting range in Germany, but they said you have to bring your own gun, and I'm like, what? One sec, I'm doing something. Because I think you often have to be part of, you have to join them and stuff like that. One sec here, shooting range. Oh, they have hamburgers. We're looking for people to work here. Okay. You need to speak German, and you need to have an ID. We have 15 to 25 meter range. You're only allowed to shoot 3000 joule weapons. What weapons do you have? What weapons do they have? They're not showing it. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, what can I shoot? What the fuck is this shit? What am I playing? A video game? What is this shit? I want to shoot modern stuff, dude. This looks fucking retarded. I'm shooting an AK, man. Let me give you some NATO weapons. It's kind of fucking meh. I want to shoot the new Hakan stuff. That was kind of shit.
Defense. Estonia spends $50 million a year.
You can ask the Union of the Reserve. I'm in the reserve. Reservistengemeinschaft. Yeah, but the problem is if you join them, you have to go to like trainings and stuff. You have to like spend the whole weekend sleeping in a tent with these people.
Year protecting its networks.
Fuck that.
The U.S. pours nearly $10 billion into Cyber Command, with billion-dollar contracts to Microsoft and Google for infrastructure that didn't even exist a decade
of a helicopter
ago. The real bottleneck is manufacturing. Ukraine has been given over 8,000 Javelin anti-tank systems, but the U.S. makes 2,400 annually.
Shooting was
semiconductor shortage.
It was so competitive. It's like men competitive. How much points did you get? I got more than you. It was always fun.
Shortages are now delaying weapons production, and China controls
I think I was good at shooting back then. I was 18 though. I was good because I understood what shooting is about. It's about holding this finger right before the pressure hold. Right, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. You should never do like this. No, you have to be right there. Here's the point. 1 more millimeter, it's gonna go off. That's really important.
Percentage of the rare earth minerals needed for advanced military tech, creating a choke point money can't quickly fix. History backs the warning. The Soviets spent $15 billion.
I wish sometimes I was a more not shy streamer. Imagine I will text the German reserve. Hey, I'm a Twitch streamer and YouTuber, and I like the German army, and I think we should get ready, and we should make NATO strong. Can I do a shooting stream with you guys as a pro-NATO propaganda? I wish I had the ball to do that more.
Billion rubles in Afghanistan and collapsed. Britain won World War II, but limped out broke.
I live
at the height of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
And I always wanted to text them if I'm allowed to stream there, but I'm too shy, man. I'm so shy.
The United States was spending upwards of $12 billion a month. Forecasts of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan have U.S. costs topping $1 trillion annually, or 6.7% of GDP, not counting the shock of a global supply chain collapse. The security dilemma that once fueled superpower arms races
with the German army said it's a very long process. Oh, okay.
now threatens the economic foundations of civilization itself. Every defensive measure appears offensive to rivals. Every weapon system demands countermeasures. Every alliance obligation triggers cascading spending that no treasury can sustain indefinitely. As military budgets soar while nations struggle under record debt burdens, the fundamental questions remain unanswered. Are they preparing for victory?
I'm still a private for a class. I want to say it again and again to all my German friends here, huh? X-Lord maybe. If World War III happens, I'm above you. I have 2 stripes. I would be probably close to my 3rd stripe. You are just a private, okay? I'll be above you. TommyKay will be above you, bro. Whoa.
Or mutual destruction. In their desperate race to prevent their own annihilation, have the world's powers instead guaranteed it? If tensions keep rising, the next big conflict is likely to erupt in the Pacific. Watch how U.S. will respond if China invades Taiwan to see one of the most likely flashpoints, or click on this video instead.
I would follow you to Mordor.
She slipped through my fingers like sand. Heard that she had a man. Now I'm just sitting here sad. Oh well, ship sail. She slipped through my fingers like sand.